Bonjour, hi. I'm excited to announce the upcoming launch of my new podcast. It's called Crossroads La Croisée des chemins, and in it you'll hear informal conversations with a variety of guests around topics such as identity, language learning and speaking multiple languages, about their area of expertise, which will be as diverse as them, and moments when they faced a decision that impacted their whole life. And in this podcast, for example, we'll talk about topics such as trauma and language learning, about having multiple identities and juggling with them and juggling with multiple passions and jobs, about ethical business practices, about using improv with young people, like teenagers, to um, introduce to them the topic of racism and how to react when they witness racist behaviors. We'll also talk about the impact of nutrition on cognitive functions and a lot more. If you don't know me, I'm Cathy Intro. I'm a French language coach, certified neuro-language coaching, and also a business coach for language educators. And also the hostess of another podcast called My Polyglot Life en français, especially for learners at the upper intermediate and advanced level who want to speak and write and learn even better in French. And most of all, because this is what my approach is all about, most of all, who want to feel good in French. And the guests here in Crossroads La Croisée des chemins, they will also help us on this quest to feel good in our life as people who speak more than one language or people who live in a country they were not born in. So this is the program. And the idea came up because learning to fit in a new environment that wasn't conceived to make us feel good, wasn't conceived with us, our profile of person in mind, and also taking risks, moving abroad, having to interact daily in a language that you're not fully comfortable with, or living in a country where you may not know all the unwritten social codes and rules. All of this challenges us and it shapes who we are today. But before taking that leap, we face blocks and fears, and there isn't one way of moving forward. So that's why each guest will bring their own unique perspective. And I'm inviting you to find your own way to get what you want, what you really, really want, as someone would say, as chaotic or tranquil of a life it might be. So crossroads can be many things. If we talk about that's the title and what it means, crossroads, la croisée des chemins, it can be an intersection, in this case, between multiple languages or identities, but it's also encounters crossing someone's path, how I crossed path with my guests and people they crossed path with in the past that has impacted their life. There will be different situations. And a crossroad is also that moment when you have to make a decision, committing to going into path A or path B or whatever other option may be in front of you. So there will still be a connection with languages, but I'd like to widen the focus and offer you inspiring conversations with women and maybe a few men, provided they're not white, straight, cisgendered, and able-bodied from the global north. So that's my list of criteria. And yes, that's discrimination. And that's why my podcast is different from many others, because my choice of guests is guided by this desire to bring forth different perspectives. Perspectives we may not be familiar with or that I may not be familiar with. So I may be accused of promoting wokeism or promoting ideas labeled as woke, but I think you can hear and read what these men have to say in a lot of places, or what these men want to say in a lot of places, with a favorable bias, a positive bias. Just because they're able-bodied, cisgender, heterosexual, white men from the global north, they're the embodiment of a so-called neutral or standard person in our collective imagination, formed by centuries, hundreds of millenniums of years of patriarchal and colonial practices and mentalities. For example, the other day I was working with an AI to create a design, and my prompt was, designer person learning languages or facing a hard time learning languages, something like that. And the 4 pictures were all of white men doing that thing. And in my mind, maybe because I'm a woman, I don't know, but in my mind, I pictured a woman because I wanted to put that image on my website. And there was no option in the first 4 designs. So then I modified the prompt and all. But the first 4 designs could have been 4 different types of person. Maybe one man, one woman, a Black, an Asian profile. So it could have offered diversity right from the start, but no, it offered 4 times that white typical man. So that's why I want to offer you something other than that. Because also, as such as white, cisgender, etc., white men, they almost automatically benefit from an image of expertise, as long as they express themselves with enough self-confidence that we don't even think of questioning their expertise. And I'm not saying that all straight, white, cisgender men, etc., from the global north are the same or incompetent and that we can't benefit from listening to them. I'm just saying that we already hear them a lot, and their experience is not representative of my experience or maybe your experience. And that's why in my podcast, I want to offer the opportunity to other profiles to express themselves and show their expertise. And that still leaves a lot of people outside of that don't tick all the boxes of my list of criteria. So we'll have a nice variety of profiles and life paths to discover on this journey together. I'll do interviews mainly in English, but depending on the guests, I'd like to also do interviews in French and maybe in Spanish. I have to brush up a little bit, but the guests will be doing most of the talking, so I think I can handle that. And the interviews will be available on the podcast feed, so in audio on Spotify and your favorite podcast platform, and also on YouTube with subtitles, automatic subtitles. So we'll do our best to provide something accurate. And don't forget to subscribe and activate the notifications to be informed when the first episode is published. So as I said, by the end of September, probably around the 25th, something like that. And then I'm planning to publish 1 interview per month because I'm dividing my time between this series of interviews and the French podcast, My Polyglot Life en Français, and being a full-time coach. So I'll be doing my best to juggle everything, but I think 1 interview a month is my goal for this podcast. And if there are people you want me to interview, please pop their names in the comment or reach out to me, and then I'll reach out to them to bring them here, and we'll all get inspired by these different people. I look forward to showing you the first interview, and I will go back to work to get everything ready, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.